Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Black Cat, and today I got another update for you guys. This is another deck post December 2018 ban list. Made a lot of changes to my zombie deck this time. So I had to figure out like what's the best way to play zombies now. Like Firewall's banned. Gumbler is still a problem because like especially with the new Neo Space connector which comes out Friday, Thursday if you go to an OTS store. But yeah. Like that's gonna bring out your opponent's Aqua Dolphin's gonna come out a lot easier now, and what's the best way to disrupt them? Well, that's what I'm gonna show you guys today. This is still running Zombie World, of course, because Zombie World can shut down a lot of decks like not heroes, but warriors in general. Can stun the hell out of Thunder Dragons because they can't do the built-in protection anymore, and they can't even perform the fusion summoning. But anyway, let me show you what I got this time, and hope you guys enjoy it as always. So starting off, I'm playing 2 copies of Doom King Balladrock now instead of 3. Reason for 2 is because 3 got cloggy. I had to, like, make new combos, especially like with all the link climbing that I can do with this deck. Which, by the way, I think you guys are going to be pretty happy with what I got this time. I actually just got it yesterday, but I'll show that to you later. Moving on, playing 2 copies of Necroworld Banshee. Only 2, I feel like that was enough. Basically, she just searches out your zombie, or plays your zombie world directly from your deck. And Doom King, the reason I like him is because he has 2 disruptions. So whenever a zombie monster activates an effect, you can either chain off to either negate the effect, or you can banish one monster on the field or in either player's graveyard. So Doom King and Necroworld Banshee are just so good because, Necroworld Banshee gets you Zombie World. And with Doom King out, everything becomes zombie, so it just becomes busted. And you can even negate the effects of Ash Blossom and, what's the other card? Ghost Spell, because they're zombie type monsters. So even if Zombie World isn't out, if Doom King's out, he can negate them both, so it's really good. Next up, playing 2 copies of Glow of Bloom. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish it, special summon, or add 1 level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to your hand, and if Zombie World's out, you can special summon the monster instead. So it searches out your Doom King, and searches out your Vampire Flowerline, just because, she's a generic monster that can boost the power of your vampire, or of your zombie monsters. So that's why I felt it was good. And that's pretty much it from the new support. Moving on. 3 copies of Sure News Solitaire. Just because, it can search out your tuners a lot faster, and you have a lot of tuners in this deck that have 0 defense. 1 Spear Master, just get a free pop if it's banished. 1 Spectral Sword, just because you can synchro summon it, using it while it's in the graveyard along with any other material. But you have to wait a whole turn to use Spectral Sword's effect, but that's generally not a problem. 2 Unizombie, just because I felt like 3 was a little too much. 2 is more than enough, and plus you can easily summon it through the effect of Solitaire, so that's why I'm only playing it at 2. Alright, so moving on, playing 3 Mizuki. This is basically your Monster Reborn. Of course, you're going to be playing 2 copies of Gozuki. Like Unizombie, I felt like 2 was more than enough. I had no reason to play it at 3. But Mizuki, for sure, you want to play that one at 3. 1 Goblin Zombie. This actually is very essential for my link plays because you can summon it through the effect of Summon Sorceress, get it off the field, to link into something else like one of your Nightmare monsters. Activate its effect to search out a monster that has 1200 or less defense, like Mizuki, Unizombie, Gozuki, or anything that just has 0 defense in general. So Goblin Zombie is just a good way to use it, and it's not once per turn. So Goblin Zombie, if you can spam it correctly, you can get a lot of pluses out of him, and you can also get constant discard fodder with your Nightmare engine. Moving on to the hand traps, playing 3 copies of Ash. These are zombie type monsters, of course. So you could literally chain off of Doom King just to get a free banishment off your opponent's field. So yeah. 2 Drone Lockbird. It's still a really good card in my opinion. I really think Drone Lockbird will always be relevant in its own right. Just because like a lot of people don't expect it, And it's good against like any search-based deck like Sky Striker, Thunder Dragons, like even Dark Warrior is going to do a lot of searching too, so Drone Lockbird is the best way to handle those decks. And lastly, 1 copy of Vampire Frontline. It's a pseudo hand trap, but it's still good because again, her ability is so generic towards zombie monsters in general. Just beef up your zombie monsters as far as power goes, and yeah, and it's a free summon as long as a monster declares an attack, so Vampire Frontline, definitely a much needed staple in this deck. Alright, so moving on to the spells now. Playing, of course, 3 Zombie World, turns everything into zombies. This shuts down warriors because they can't go into the soul. They shuts down Thunder Dragons because, again, they can't do the fusion summonings for Colossus, and they can't do the built-in protection. 2 terraforming just to search it out. 3 Called by the Grave. I'm really happy it's back at 3. You don't want your opponent disrupting you back, so Called by the Grave is a good card to use. 2 Burial from a Different Dimension, because it really extends the hell out of your Mizuki play, so Burial is definitely good at 2. You don't have to play it at 3. I think 3 is a little too much. 2 Call of the Mummy. I was originally playing Needlebug Nest, but I scrapped them entirely. Made room for Called by the Grave and Call of the Mummy. Mainly because it's a really good card starting first, because you don't want to waste your normal summon too early. Like, let's say I normal summon Shiranui Solitaire and I had no other place. Uses ability, I get ashed. That's it. My turn's completely over. Call of the Mummy just kind of helps, you know, like, as long as you control normal monsters, you can special summon 1 zombie monster once per turn. And, yeah, you can just kind of go from there. Just bait out your opponent from any hand traps he may have, and then just go into, like, a Unizombie or a Gozuki, you know? That way. So, yeah, Call of the Mummy is just a free summon. Like a double summon for this deck, basically. 1 for 1, of course, you know, to get your Globe Boom faster. 1 Foolish Burial. Monster Reborn. And finally, 1 Soul Charge. Because, again, this deck is so good. And I use the Gumbler method as well, just, you know, to rip at least 4 out of my opponent's hand. And it combos really well with Doom King. So, like, if you know how to properly, like, combo it off, you can definitely, like, do Doom King and Gumbler, you know, like, rip your opponent's hand for 2, use Ballardrock's effect, you know, banish, and it's busted. Alright, so moving on to the extra deck. Playing 2 copies of Vampire Sucker, you definitely want to play that set too. If a zombie monster is revived from either player's graveyard, you can draw 1 card. This card also acts as a Storm Force, so like if you want to do a tribute summon, you can tribute one of your opponent's zombie type monsters instead, and that way it's just, you know, kind of like pick apart his board. 1 Summon Sorceress. Of course, since everything's you're gonna be playing a zombie, and this just further extends. And people are gonna, like, Summon Sorceress isn't as broken anymore now that Firewall's banned, but it's still a really broken card. So Summon Sorceress can still, you know, come up with some really powerful generate strategy. So, but I personally love the card. It's one of my favorite cards, especially on the links. So yeah, 1 Link Karibo. It's a free summon with a Globe Bloom, so why not? I'm playing the Nightmare Engine. 1 Cerberus, 1 Phoenix for monster and back row removal, and finally, I got me one yesterday. 1 Nightmare Unicorn. Yep, I finally got the card, guys. And this bounces back into the deck, so Nightmare Unicorn is definitely a much needed spot removal. So I'm really happy I managed to get one yesterday. So yeah, the only card I need now is just a Firewall Dragon, which if I get one by today, guys, I promise I'll get you Trick Stars by tomorrow. I'll do an update on my Trick Star deck immediately. Moving on, playing 1 Trigate Wizard. You can still do like the whole co-link of 3. It's not that difficult. Even though I can't extra link, you can still, you know, at least get the Trigate Negate. So yeah. 1 Staryu Skuldred. It's easy to fill up your board with different types of monsters, so I figured why not. 1 Gumblar Dragon. Now that Firewall's banned, but again, you can still rip your opponent's hand, and plus it doesn't hurt you too badly because all your monsters are zombies, and you kind of need your zombies in the grave. 1 Bomber Dragon, just because, you know, you want to be able to nuke your opponent's main monster zones. And if Gumblar is co-linked with this along with Nightmare Cerberus, it won't blow up your board, so you can safely like do 2 different things at once. And from here on out, it's just Synchro monsters. 1 Cyframe Lord Omega, 1 Beals, 1 Shiranui Samurai Saga, just to recycle my banished cards, and 1 Red Eyes Zombie Necro Dragon. I figured it was really good, you know, just because it could take control of your opponent's monsters, and yeah. And everything else is just like for power, and of course, Cyframe Lord Omega can rip your opponent's hands as well. Alright, so moving on to the side deck real quick. Playing the same as before, Ghost Reaper at 3. Well, actually not the same as before, but I'm playing Marionette Might at 3 too. I took off Red Eye Zombie Dragon in general. But Marionette Might is really good because it can also take control of your opponent's Fiend-type monsters, and Nightmares are Fiends, and everyone's going to be playing Nightmares, so yeah. And from here on out, just spells and traps. 3 Drag Down into the Grave. 3 Shared Ride. 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance. And lastly, for back row, heavy decks, Red Reboot, you know, just to deal with Altergeist in general, so, and yeah. Well, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll catch you guys again on the next video.